All right, just sit back and get ready to have the most fun you ever had with an electronic device. All right, everybody, welcome out to the Get On With It Sports Show. It is Wednesday, June the 1st, 2022. Jersey Johnny coming at you. With me, as always, is none other than Mr. Harry Lug Nutz. Say hello, Mr. Harry Lug Nutz.
Hello, 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 hello.
Hello. Hello.
Some pretty snazzy music you got in the opening there.
Yeah, it's some snazzy music. It's this band out of Denver, Log. I don't know if you ever heard of them.
I have. Yeah, I have.
They played the was it the Mercury Cafe last weekend?
They played with Harry Styles at Madison Square Garden the other day.
Nice. How did that go?
We weren't. Yeah, that'd be great though. How would that go if that ever happened? There would be a lot of housewives and 14-year-old girls who
were really confused,
or actually be more confused looking at us than they were at Harry Styles.
Gotcha.
Which is saying a lot, but yeah. But yeah. Yep. June 1st. Here we go.
June 1st.
Yankees are starting to slide, and Daniel Jones is still the Giants quarterback.
Daniel Jones, apparently. Here we go. We got Pete, the Telephone Pete. We got Telephone Pete with us today. Telephone Pete. How are you, Telephone Pete?
I'm good. I'm going to cut out in another few minutes.
Fantastic.
Jumping in, jumping out. You got to love it.
I'm on the road. You
got a body in the trunk.
Yeah, I got to dump this body, and then I can give you my full attention. No, I can't. When I go to use the app, then I have to use the camera, and it dumps.
It dumps out.
But it's only momentary. And
Gotcha.
This is the last thing I got to do tonight. So
yeah, what's really funny is you're like on the phone, right, and your video is stopped. It's frozen, so it's almost like it's like the press picture with you, voice of Pete.
It's like when people call. It's like when people called in to Larry King in the '90s.
Right.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. Not knowing he died in 1991.
Did he? No, he was alive. Larry King, I think, only recently died. Right?
Just a few years ago. He was 130 when he did.
I think he was at his height in the 90s. That's what's crazy.
He was pretty big. Well, that's smaller, right. But he's out again.
He's out.
He's in, he's out. He's all over the place. He's in the car in Long Island, folks.
Well, what is on the agenda for tonight, Mr.
Tonight we're going to talk about a little baseball. Baseball
is still going on, huh?
Baseball's still going on. We're going into the third month of the season. And let's take a look at the standings here. Hold on. Let's get these up here. Major League, NBA. No, that's not what I wanted. MLB standings. There we go. All right. So let's pull these up here. Let's see. The Yankees 34-15. And we got Telephone Pete back again. There we go. And he's back.
He's hanging on the telephone.
Yeah, this is probably going to happen for the ride home too. Every time I go through a dead zone, we're going to dump.
Gotcha.
Well, it's riveting entertainment. I'm sure people absolutely love it.
You get to actually make the drop before he dumps. And, I wish. You know what? Maybe I could turn the camera around. But I don't have to use the camera. Damn it!
There you go.
There's no way to show you live action.
That's all right. I don't think we'd see much anyway, fortunately.
No, well, we'd have to get a waiver from whoever's house I'm going to.
Exactly.
I got your pharmaceuticals here, but you got to be on the show or you don't get them.
Exactly.
Give us your thoughts on the Yankees and Mets, or no azithromycin for you, Mr. Hubble. If that is your real name.
If that is indeed your real name.
All right, so I'm coming up on the stop, and I'm going to dump out in a minute or two, and then I'll be back, hopefully, for the drive home.
All right. We'll be waiting.
And we'll be riveted. It'll be riveting conversation on the way home. So
hopefully, look at that. All right, hopefully I'll be back in just a couple of minutes.
You got it.
Or actually, you know what? You might. I bet
Yep.
There he goes.
He's gonna keep us in suspense. I bet. Bye. Yeah, so anyway, so back to the standings.
The Mets have the most wins in baseball.
Mets have the most wins in baseball right now.
Yankees have a better record by a half a game. The Yankees have had a number of games postponed recently. So.
This is true. They played 3 less games.
Yeah.
And but best record in best most wins in baseball, best record in the National League, and the Yankees still have the best record in the American League. So the Yankees and Mets at the top of the leagues.
Yeah. I mean, I think when you look at the Yankees, Mets, the Dodgers are right there. The Astros, who started off a little slow, are right back where we expected them. The Brewers with that pitching is, they're only 3 games back of the Yankees.
Mm-hmm.
San Diego, much improved. I think playing the way people expected them. I think the surprise of Major League Baseball is probably the Minnesota Twins, who are 30-21.
I would say so, yeah.
Toronto now in second place in the American League East. The Cardinals, kind of where I think people expected them to some extent.
Yeah.
Tampa Bay, and a little bit of a slide, but, still a very good team. The Giants, 6 games over 500. The Angels, who started hot, have slid a little bit. They've only won 3 of their last 10. The Rangers.
Thor got shelled yesterday.
Yeah, the Yankees. I think we're looking forward to that. So, I think the disappointment so far has to be the Braves and the White Sox and the Red Sox.
Yeah, you could say that.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at that AL Central. I mean, again, like you said, the Twins are definitely a little bit of a surprise there, 30-21. But the rest of the entire
not a great division. Yeah.
No, the rest of the entire division is under 500.
Yeah.
So I mean,
and
White
look,
Sox a half a game under.
If you're looking at who's sitting, I mean, you have to say the Mets. I mean, the Mets are already 10.5 games up on the Braves. Yep. The Marlins are in 3rd place. Yeah. So, the Phillies, the Nationals, and I think to some extent the Braves have underperformed the Mets. Look, if you want to be the most optimistic about any team, it has to be the Mets. They've been without their 2 best pitchers, their top pitcher for most of the season, and they're arguably their 2nd best pitcher for the last, month now?
I don't think there's much of an argument about that one.
Yeah. So, I mean, some might argue that Scherzer's their best pitcher.
In that respect,
just based on availability. But
I see where you're going with that one.
Yeah, I mean, look, if the Mets can continue to play at this rate and they can get those 2 guys healthy, which I don't know much about what's going on with either of them. I mean, it sounds like it's kind of a wait and see and not in a hurry scenario, which that's a luxury for the Mets right now. So
exactly.
We shall see. I think you have to be the most optimistic about the Mets. I think the Dodgers are crushing it. And, the Yankees and Mets are both plus 79, plus 77. The Dodgers are plus 116.
Right.
So that lineup that was great last year, and which they lost some, they lost MVP candidates out of that lineup.
Mm-hmm.
And yet they're still dominating in the National League. So we shall see. I think the Yankees, the injury bug has hit the Yankees. I'm not overly concerned about Chapman, but losing Chad Green is a huge loss.
Mm-hmm.
And Stanton needs to be healthy for them. Stanton was off to a great start. They need Stanton and Judge to be playing at the levels that they have been playing if they have any chance. Aaron Hicks has slid a little bit. I think there's some optimism with Gleyber Torres' bat lately. And you got to be happy with the so-called fill-in positions that the Yankees have had at catcher and at shortstop. And their pitching has been spectacular. I was looking forward to another outing tonight with Nestor Cortez. Look, the Yankees starting pitching has been spectacular. And if they can continue even a modicum of what this is,
mm-hmm.
I think that they've, this is what the Yankees always used to do. They were able to bring up pitchers and have depth in their starting rotation. Maybe not Cy Young winners up and down, but depth 1 through 4, 1 through 5, and I think they have that right now.
Right. I agree.
I'm a little concerned about the, look, I joked for many years that we were going to, blow Chad Green's arm out. They did. And he's gone for the season. That's a big loss. Chapman, look, if Clay Holmes can pitch the way he has been pitching, I think the Yankees have a closer. I think they need some help with some middle relief. And I think they need another outfield bat. But we'll see. I think the middle of the season trade deadline is going to be more interesting this year than it even was last year. Yep. When you had the potential world champions basically create an entire new team at the midpoint. So we'll see if the Yankees are willing to spend what they didn't spend in the offseason at the trade deadline.
And remember, they're going to have more competition than normal this year because
absolutely.
There's a lot of the teams that are right there nipping at the bud within a game or 2 or 3 of where the Yankees sit in both conferences and right in town. It's not going to shock me to find out that the Yankees, Brian Cashman goes after a particular player at the trade deadline. And they jump in there. The Mets jump in there, and Steve Cohen goes after him, and steals it away. Depending on the piece they need, but at this particular moment, pitching is what the Mets are looking at.
Well,
but if everybody's back, they're not going to be looking at that, right? They're going to be looking at maybe another bat or
Let
whatever.
me ask you this question: is it this reminds me a little bit, although I think different circumstances, of the kind of Brooklyn, New York Knicks scenario.
Right.
Is this a case of the Mets being a better destination for people, or do you think it's just coming down to the fact that the Mets are throwing more money at people?
I think it's a little of both right now, probably more the money,
but I think you're right.
It's still a little of both. I think it's a very desirable place right now, and even as late as last year, obviously, with Louis Rojas still at the helm there, it really wasn't. Even though Steve Cohen's money was there, it really wasn't a good fit, that good of an organization. But with the changes they made, and let's face it, Buck is Buck, and what's going on right now in Queens, it's a desirable destination.
We'll see.
It's a little bit more than money, but I think it's a little of both.
I like Buck Showalter. Don't get me wrong, and he's been, but he's never won a championship.
Yeah,
so
he's had a couple of teams up that did, but
he hasn't won one yet. And this might be the year. It's still the Mets, and I think that the Mets
are still the Mets until they're not the Mets anymore.
Well, I think the Mets have played a lot of in-division games,
sure,
which has helped them so far this year because their division.
Those are the games you have to win, right? If you're going to win your division, you have to win your division.
Yeah, their division's as weak as the American League Central.
Mm-hmm.
They're the only team that makes that.
It's the only other division in the entire league that the NL East and the AL Central are the only 2 divisions where the top team is the top team, and then every other team is below 500.
Yeah, significantly.
Well, look, we'll see how it all plays out. Get your opinion, both of you, including Telephone Pete over there.
Actually, I'll just say, as far as the destination question, I think the Mets are a little bit more of a destination right now, and I think it's because they're spending the money and having success.
So it's the money.
If the Yankees have a good season, and I don't think they would even need to win the World Series, but get close, then the Bronx becomes the place to be again.
Well, is there a different definition of a good season for the Yankees and every other team in baseball? How many games did the Yankees win last year?
Well, yeah, but I think we've talked about this before. Sort of a maybe the
Yankees won 92 games last year.
Even though the last name is the same, I think the philosophy is a little bit different, and maybe that old, that's going to be the diehard fans that say, well, it's World Series or bust. But if that's not the team's attitude, you're going to have more newer fans that are going to sort of buy Well,
so the money reflects their willingness to win. I think you're seeing the same thing with the Dodgers and the Giants. I mean, I don't. It's not like San Francisco is a horrible place to go play.
Right.
I just think that the Dodgers are more dedicated to putting whatever money it takes, for the most part. Although they lost some people to the Mets. So
yeah, and listen, the Mets and the Giants, and if the Padres have success, let's say over the next couple of years, until you kick the king off the top of the hill, and that's the Yankees in the East and the Dodgers in the West, you're still the redheaded stepchild, even if you win one.
Yeah, well, I think the ability. I don't think they're correlated anymore. I think that I think the Mets are the number one team in baseball when it comes to doing whatever it takes monetarily to get the top free agents. I think they've proven themselves that way.
Was that a fog? Was that a foghorn?
You got to win, though.
Well, sure, but I mean, even the Astros and the Dodgers, who you could argue have been the two most successful teams,
sure,
consistently. They're not always able to keep. The Dodgers obviously have spent way more money on players, but the Astros, again, 33-18, they've won almost 65% of their games this year. Yep. While losing, I think the Astros are a really good example of how they can keep a core, they can groom a core for the next round, and they don't always have to step up and give top dollar to everyone who becomes a free agent.
Right.
I also think that they have just a different mentality with the type of players that they have. They have players who are able to manufacture runs and a very deep pitching staff, and that served them well. And look, they're you can talk all you want about the Los Angeles Angels. Astros are up 5.5 games. They're up an equal amount over the Angels as the Yankees are over the Blue Jays in Tampa Bay.
Sure.
So
still cheaters though.
They are, but they basically said, hey, this is the one guy we're going to keep, and everybody else is expendable. And they've been able to go deep with a number of players that have done very, very well. And I think the Yankees are going to maybe be in a similar situation here soon. I think, the Yankees of even 10 years ago would not be waiting on Aaron Judge to make a decision in the offseason.
No, that would have been done already. That would have been done.
Yeah, well, I wanted to ask you about that because at this point, and given the way he's playing, now whether it's a coincidence that is, last year of his contract or whatever, or not, but given the way he's playing right now, isn't it better and we always know they go where the money is, but you can have enough money in New York, and Aaron Judge really wants to play there. But given the way he's playing, they're better off. I guess they're not going to negotiate anymore. They're better off doing that, right? Let them play great, and if it means a World Series win, and then Aaron Judge walks away, yeah, everybody's going to be mad, but not for that long. If he gets a World Series win out of it,
right?
And then he wants that 7 years or 8 years or whatever the hell it is, or 10 years, and the Yankees go, no, we just can't do it. But if you get another series out of them, if you get another championship out of them,
right. Well, that's a big if, and
yeah,
and obviously,
I feel like it kind of behooves the Yankees to let him play spectacularly well.
It behooves both parties,
whether it's them or not. They can decide that later.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, you'd want to retain Aaron Judge on a 6-year deal where every year is totally incentive based, but it's not going to happen. Right. So, Aaron Judge is a great player, but he's injury prone. He's 6'8". He's not a spring chicken anymore. And, I see with the potential with Judge minus the defensive liability of what you have with Stanton, where Stanton has shown signs periodically of being the player that he was when the Yankees signed him to a long-term deal. But Stanton's out again. And he has not really necessarily performed, with the exception of one postseason, all that well. He is, I think Judge is a better player. And if I had to choose between one of them, it's a no-brainer. But the Yankees are where they're at right now because their pitching has far exceeded expectations. And both Aaron Judge and Giancarlo Stanton have performed well. That's why the Yankees are where they're at.
Yeah, I would say the same thing about the Mets. Considering, that DeGrom is not pitched yet, and
Scherzer's been out for
7 or 8 starts. And I heard the stat today, the Mets have 9 shutouts so far this season.
Yeah, the difference with the Mets, which is puts them, I think, in a better position, is that the Yankees don't have 2 Cy Young pitchers waiting to recuperate to come back into their starting rotation.
Right.
That's the difference.
But, yeah, that's my point, though. You don't need them.
Now, you always need them. You always need them.
That's my point. Difference. I mean, that's exactly what I've been saying too. I mean, the Mets are doing what they're doing without them.
Right. But the Mets is a much weaker division.
But the postseason's a different ball game.
Right. So win without them now, get them back, and they'll ramp up and be completely healthy for the postseason, and then there you go. Right.
Rather have them back down the stretch. And look, we saw what the Braves did last year, much to
we were talking about that while you were burying the body.
Lug Nutz. Right. And there's no saying that they won't, or some other team won't sort of go that strategy again. Now, I don't think the Nationals. Well, look, they brought in 4 guys, and that made all the difference, and they won a World Series. So I don't think the Nationals are nearly as good as the Braves were, even though they weren't very good.
No, that's not going to happen in Washington.
I don't think the Phillies are. But the Phillies have some potential. And so, but, right now, feast on the weak division if you're the Mets and hope you get the guys back to stay for later in the season. Yankees, that long season is going to, look, Boston is Boston. They're certainly not what anyone really expected. But I think they've been, maybe they've been playing a little bit better. Maybe they haven't. I can say I think that's true. That doesn't mean I have any evidence.
They're playing 500 ball lately.
Yeah, but you still have,
which is a little better. Look, I think
Toronto, and you still have Tampa Bay.
I think what the Yankees would benefit from is if one of the 2 teams, either Toronto or Tampa, falls further behind them. What the Mets will benefit from is if the Giants don't necessarily look like they're going to compete, where the Braves are not inching up closer to them, because Milwaukee historically has not been a team that's going to throw a lot of money at the trade deadline. But the Dodgers will, the Mets will, the Astros strategically will. I think the Angels would if they were close. So I think what could help a few teams this year is that we might not have as much of a race in some of these divisions, and that would thin the field out a little bit, which I think helps the Mets. Yeah. It might help the Yankees because then they, the guys who don't get signed by the Mets, there's only 3 teams that they're choosing from instead of 7. So we'll see. I've said this for a couple of years now, and I think it's been proven right. I don't think it's that the Yankees don't want to spend the money. I think the Yankees do not have the money.
Right. They don't have the money they used to have.
And that sounds incredibly strange to hear coming from the Yankees camp. But I just think that they have not. Their last big signing was Garrett Cole. Since the Cole signing, they have not made a splash in free agency or any All-Star break signings since forever. It has not happened. And I don't foresee that changing. Like, Yankee fans can sit there and think it's going to happen. It's not going to. And so that, getting back to Judge, it would not surprise me if the Yankees let Judge walk. It would not. Now, I think they offered him a really good deal. But somebody else is going to offer him more. Mm-hmm. And if he stays on the Yankees and the Yankees do it, he becomes Russell Westbrook. If somebody else signs him, he's going to probably win 3 World Series. It's just the way it's inevitable to happen. I just think that there's, look, I think not only would the Mets be, I think I could picture Aaron Judge playing in a Boston Red Sox uniform. Imagine Aaron Judge at the Green Monster. Now I know he's more of an opposite field hitter, but I don't think he's loyal to the Yankees. I really don't.
Well, let me ask you a question. What would be more damning to Yankee fans? Aaron Judge becomes a Boston Red Sox, or Aaron Judge becomes a New York Met?
I think they both suck, and who cares?
No, seriously. What would piss you off more? You personally?
Right now, the Mets, only because I think the Mets are the Brooklyn Nets. Without the Nets have not signed the Kyrie deal though. They're sort of Build-A-Bear. Let's build a team. Let's let the
Nets, but with vaccinations.
Yes, the Nets, but some. But I just think that the Mets are. Look, I think the Mets are going to be spending money for the next 3 or 4 years.
Yep.
Until they win a World Series, and maybe then continue to do it. And if their pockets are that deep and they're willing to pay for that, both on the front end and the back end, then I don't see it changing. I think the only team that's willing to challenge them a little bit are the Dodgers. But look, the Dodgers lost out. This is just the nature of sports. When you have the top wide receiver in all of football choose to go play with Derek Carr over Aaron Rodgers, and you have guys who were on championship teams playing in Los Angeles for the Dodgers choosing to go to Texas or elsewhere, it's not. It is only about the money. It's only about the money. They do not care about anything else.
They'll have their own legacy, whether that involves a World Series or not. They'll have their own legacy.
Nobody cares about playing for one team and being nobody does.
No, there's a few people out there. I think guys like DeGrom. I think obviously if the Mets don't offer him what he's worth, but obviously I think that's pointless now. That's moved. He'll get paid. But obviously if he can get a lot more money elsewhere, is a different story. But I think in deep down inside, he does want to remain a Met for his entire career.
But if DeGrom was on another team, his mindset would be different. That's my point.
Of course. No, I get it. It's not like it's
if
not
he
like
was on the Dodgers
that he won't ever do it, no matter what money they throw at him.
He's interested in staying on the Mets because the Mets have the biggest truck of money.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and I think players have preferences.
Sure.
Obviously, to where they'd like to play. And
sure.
some are willing to work a little bit with the team. But, it's always ultimately about the money. With rare exception in sport. And I can't think of any exception, which doesn't mean there isn't one, as far as baseball goes. We talk about it in football, guys restructuring deals, taking less money, et cetera.
Just Tom Brady, nobody else.
Well, some other players have done that occasionally, but I don't know if anybody
not in the last 10 years.
Some have, but
more never done that.
Much more often than not, they don't. Yeah. But hey, you know what? Tom Brady. Forget it. We've said it before. This deal he got from Fox Sports that whenever he retires, he's going to be an analyst.
My point
being, he's going to make more money over those 10 years than he ever made his entire career.
Right.
Which was 30 years. Not far from it. But in any event, all right. Well, we'll see how it continues to play out. Just really quick, I want to get before we wrap up baseball, I just want to get your guys' opinion. What do you think of Tom Smith getting sent down to AAA? Right move?
Probably.
Yeah. He was hitting $186, and the rest of the team is raking. What are you gonna do?
Yep.
You got Nick Plummer up. That's jumping right in there. And granted, that's maybe it slows down, maybe it doesn't, or whatever. But you certainly can't hit it. You can't send down a guy that you just brought up that's hitting home run after home run and just smacking the ball all over the field. And playing decently in the outfield too, certainly as well as Dom could play in the outfield, right? For a guy that maybe obviously there's a little bit of a allegiance to him, but He's hitting $186. It hasn't really come out. He's 6 for 30 something in May. I mean, or more than that, 6 for 40 something. So, I don't know.
I think the question with Dom Smith has always been, how does he perform? The more at bats he gets, the more his numbers seem to go downward.
Downward, yeah, exactly.
Can he produce over, a 500 at bat season? To me, that's always been the question with him. Maybe he's not an everyday guy, or maybe he's not an everyday guy, but maybe he needs to play a little bit less than he has been. I don't know. Maybe he's just in a funk. Somebody's got to be doing crappy, right? Even teams that win, there's always the one guy that sucks. Maybe it's just his turn.
Yeah.
Well, and it's all relative. He's out playing Joey. He's out playing Josh Donaldson. He's in Joey Gallo territory.
Yeah, this is true. This is very true.
So I don't know. Yankees starting catcher is hitting 164. So I think it's all relative. It's all relative.
How's Gary Sanchez doing?
Who cares? The curse has been lifted. He's gone.
Yeah, no, I'm just curious as to whether change of scenery has helped him.
He's doing about the same.
Gotcha. All right.
Let's just enjoy the fact that New York's got, two of the best teams in baseball simultaneously, and
The two best teams in baseball.
and you can enjoy that. And Syndergaard got lit up. Was it last night or the night before?
Yeah.
Last night, yesterday.
Yeah, I got beat up by the
And
New York baseball Yankees, which is too bad. I hope he does well. I don't know how he's doing on the season, but he did not look good.
John Jastrzemski on SNY yesterday said it's addition by subtraction. The Mets are where they are pitching. Look at the Mets pitching staff right now with DeGrom and Scherzer and McGill, for that matter, out. But they don't have Syndergaard, and they don't have whatchamacallit. Really, John? No, Marcus Stroman. Thank you.
Yeah.
And so it's addition by subtraction. That kind of thing. They got arms and they don't have the locker room BS, right? They don't have the tweets on a daily basis and all the other bullshit. So, no, there you go.
Yeah, you have
Look, guys don't have the longevity that they used to.
Yeah.
People. You look at people who are having great seasons, and then all of a sudden they're not around for 10 years. They're just you have to constantly be refreshing your roster,
right.
And there's going to be some exceptions to that rule, but not so much anymore.
There you go.
Well, the other thing I wonder about with Syndergaard is, he was the number 2 guy, right, after DeGrom before Uncle Steve started making moves. And even when he was hurt, it was talk of, it's Thor, it's DeGrom, and it's Thor. And now he's out in California and not getting a lot of that national press. And there's, of course, still a guy named Mike out there who's still amongst the best players in the game.
Yeah, but he's not a pitcher.
No, but you've also got my favorite guy named Shohei. So Syndergaard, listen, if he wanted sort of to go and be anonymous and kind of work his way back, that was not a bad place to do it. But that might be having, maybe he doesn't want to be anonymous. Maybe he's not used to being anonymous. And maybe it's, bruising a little ego. Don't know.
I just think he's been hurt, and he's still a good pitcher. He got battered the other day, but look, very few people are great for dominate for 5, 6, 7, 8 years anymore.
Right.
Even the best pitcher in baseball has been injury prone lately for the Mets, and we don't know what he's like. You can make an argument that going into a playoff series, you're going to have more if they're both coming back from injuries, you might want to lean a little bit more on Scherzer than you do on DeGrom.
Sure.
DeGrom's, when he's out there, he's magnificent, but he's just not as resilient as some of these other guys.
Yeah, well, that raises the question, does he have to rethink about the way he pitches and what he does and maybe change things a little bit?
Right.
I think you just got to get him back out on the mound to see what he can do. Yeah,
exactly.
Where he's at.
No, I don't mean now, but if he comes back and pitches for a month or whatever, and then has another injury, you're going to kind of go, well, maybe DeGrom can't be the DeGrom of the past few years.
I just think more and more with athletes nowadays, for whatever reason it is, there are just some that are constantly injured. I hope DeGrom is not one of them, because I would love to actually see him go deep into the playoffs and do what he does best, which I'd like to see him pitch. But there's a lot of players that are hurt a lot.
Yeah.
And some of them are at the top of their game. And, you look at somebody like Kevin Durant, you look at somebody like DeGrom, the list is pretty deep. You see it in football quite a bit. Maybe not as much, but you see it.
Yep.
And it just seems like there's less people who are able to go out there and have 35 starts a year and then pitch on 2 days rest in the playoffs. They just don't exist anymore.
That's my point. If part of what DeGrom's injury woes have to do with his pitching style and what he does and his mentality, then maybe he needs to rethink that. And is he going to be able to do that?
I think they would have already looked at that. I mean, I don't think they would have let him continue to, do what he does. I just think, look, DeGrom is.
I don't think now is the time to do that. But
right.
I think another, semi-major to kind of major injury. And
DeGrom's not 24, though. He's 30. What is he, 33, 34?
34.
Yeah, these are retirement ages these days. Max Scherzer is an exception. This is when Mike Mussina started his second career. But it doesn't seem to be the case much anymore, and it's been that way for a long time.
DeGrom's he's not gonna retire until he at least gets a shot at a ring.
Well, I understand that, but
unless things go really bad and they just can't get close, and then he's 38 years old and. Other than that, he's not retiring anytime soon. I don't know.
Look, DeGrom's had 12 starts and 15 starts in the last 2 years, and obviously none this year. So, there's obviously something going on there. Now, he's been brilliant in those limited starts, but that's less than 50% of what he started.
Right. And don't forget the 12 starts the year before.
Right, I understand.
Because it was a short season,
truncated season. Sure. But still, am I incorrect? He had an injury that year too.
Towards the end of the season. They just pulled him.
They said it was rest, but I think he was hurt.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, I mean, like I said, we'll keep paying attention, obviously, as we move into the third month of the season here. It's fun. It's fun.
700 games to go.
Only 175,000 games to go, and we'll be in October. So, all right. Is Pete home? Has Pete made it home?
Is Pete Holmes
made it home? I survived.
Is Pete Holmes what?
I don't know. Pete Holmes is
who is Pete Holmes?
He's a comedian and B-list actor.
A B-list comedian.
I don't know about if he's a B-list comedian. I think he's probably an A-list comedian. But...
A-list comedian, B-list actor. And there's Pete's. Look at that photo, Pete. Look at that. Oh, it's gone now.
Oh, there we go. We're back.
All right.
Are we back?
All right. What's next?
All right. So, I got one little bit of trivia for you. We'll do the quiz. We're going to do the quiz on next week's show, right? That's how we do it, right?
Are we?
You want to do the quiz now?
I don't know.
Let's do the. We'll do the. I think we do the quiz on next week's show.
All right.
I think that's how we do it. Yeah.
We skip a week.
We skip the week because next week, like we did last week. Anybody watching or listening? Last week we did the quiz. We did the top 10 list. Whatchamacallit? We did old balls. We did Pete's over under. That's what we did. We breaking up the show, and so they're not 3.5 hours long for you guys to watch. We do half the show one week and the other half the show the other week. So we'll do the quiz. But I got one trivia question for you. I got one quick trivia question for you.
You guys hear me?
All right.
I can hear you.
Yes.
Got one quick trivia question.
9:30. Nobody's allowed to get the mail.
There you go. Well, it's because you were going to get it when you get in.
Yeah.
They knew that.
I'm the king.
You are the king. King of the
Honey, I'm
castle.
home. Say hi to the podcast.
Hi, honey. We're home.
What is the trivia?
There we go.
You want to
There
play
he is.
trivia?
Okay. Yeah. One trivia question, really quick.
All right.
Just came to me. Here we go. Then we'll finish with baseball. Speaking of Noah Syndergaard, all right. Speaking of Thor, what was the specifics of the deal that brought Noah Syndergaard to the Mets?
I have no idea.
Pete,
The specifics?
like what occurred? How did Thor get to Queens?
Wasn't that part of the Piazza trade?
I would say probably a car service.
As a matter of fact, you are correct, sir.
I doubt he was taking the subway.
No,
It takes
no,
fucking forever to get to Queens.
It does. It's amazing. Yeah. No, it was not the car service. That was not part of it.
It was part of the. Did his contract with Keeping Up with the Kardashians run out?
It did. That was just about it, and they were able to extend him and get him to Queens. Pete, venture a guess.
Nope. I have no idea.
All right. R.A. Dickey won the Cy Young in 2012, and he was traded to the Toronto Blue Jays in exchange for Mr. Noah Syndergaard and Mr. Travis d'Arnaud.
So Dickey won the Cy Young with the Mets.
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
He had a couple pretty good years after that with Toronto too.
He
didn't
did. He had a couple decent years in Toronto.
So
yeah.
Syndergaard came up through the Blue Jays organization.
He was still in the minors when the Mets got him, but they both were. So they signed him to minor league contracts, and they brought him up within a year or two. They brought him up. It was the end of 2012, and Noah Syndergaard, I don't think, pitched for the Mets until 2014.
Who else did they get?
Travis d'Arnaud.
It's a pretty good deal for
who just won a World Series with the Braves last year.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, obviously. Oops.
No, it's amongst the most hated former Mets.
Yeah. I always liked Travis d'Arnaud. I did. I mean, when he was injured, he was one of those guys that was injured a lot. So. But he hasn't been injured that much in Atlanta, so maybe
And he's got a weird name,
Travis d'Arnaud.
Well,
yeah,
with
and he
the
sucked when he played.
the lowercase
hurt
d
or he was
in the
bad.
Well, so does DeGrom.
True, but he doesn't have DeGrom doesn't have the
apostrophe.
Apostrophe.
Yeah.
I don't know. People with apostrophes in their name, it's tough.
I know.
It's tough.
It's a tough thing. Lowercase d apostrophe Arnaud.
Yeah, come on.
Exactly.
Come on.
Well, what about like O'Keefe or O'Neill? I mean, that's kind of
It's a little different. It's a capital letter and then an apostrophe.
Oh, you're talking about a lowercase letter in the apostrophe.
Yeah,
That's
it's
where it
just
gets all
pretentious.
Yeah, the lowercase letter is bogus.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I hear you. I see what you're saying. All right. So,
I think he would have had a better career if he had a capital. If he just spelled it DARNAUD.
Exactly. I think he would have shined a lot more.
All right, that was riveting trivia.
Riveting trivia. I figured you. It wasn't really trivia. Just wanted to ask
Information.
If you guys remember.
I did not know.
Information.
R.A. Dickey, boy, he had a pretty good run there. But there's another guy who was around for a while and then seemed to have his best years sort of towards the latter end of his career.
Sure. Knuckleball pitcher.
Yeah.
Do
you think he could even get away in this league anywhere? I don't know.
Probably not. It's amazing that a knuckleball pitcher won the Cy Young. I mean, he really had a good year that year, and that was the year that same year that Santana through the no-no.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. And
so
he had a hit with the lead singer of Third Eye
Bananarama.
Blind. Third Eye Blind.
Oh, I thought it was Bananarama.
No. I don't think Santana ever did a song with Bananarama.
Exactly.
Did you see Santana at the game the other night?
Johan Santana or
Carlos?
Carlos.
Yeah.
Johan.
Yeah.
Yes, he was. Well, it's today at this particular time. Let's wish a happy 10-year anniversary. 10 years ago, right now, Johan Santana was throwing his no-no.
Oh God!
It was June 1st.
How many times are we going to bring this moment?
Well, it is the actual anniversary. It is the actual date. So it's June 1st, 2012. This is June 1st, 2022. So it's 10 years today. The Mets had their first no-no. They just had another one a few weeks ago. It took 5 pitchers to get it, but there you go. All right, so now we got 2 RadioPetes now.
Yeah.
And we got RadioPete in stereo. Look at them. I got 2 of them. Hold on. Don't hang up yet. There we go. Oh, perfect.
RadioPete and Telephone Pete.
There's a difference between RadioPete and Telephone Pete.
Not much. There's a slightly more light with RadioPete. It's not raining inside his studio with RadioPete.
There we go.
There we go.
Perfect. How was your day, sir?
Boy, it was long.
Long day.
I had 47 drops, and then I had 9 more.
47 drops. What are you play for the Giants?
Yeah, it's the Sterling Shepherd Company.
That's right.
Exactly.
It was. I tell you, it was all like in this rather small area. I don't know, maybe 10 square miles, but it was so annoying.
It's a lot of prescriptions.
And of course, the lightning didn't help much.
No.
Yeah, no, that at the end was not enjoyable.
Well, how about the NBA?
Yeah, I'm just going to say we got no football really is going on. So let's talk about NBA. Let's talk some NBA.
You got to make shots.
We're down to 2. We're down to 2.
Yeah, you got to make shots in order to win.
Yeah, Jimmy Butler's legacy, I think, was just slightly off.
Yeah.
He played 48 minutes in that game.
He had
the top 3, the 3 top teams defensively in the NBA this year were Boston, Miami, and Golden State.
Mm-hmm.
And Boston's number 1. So now it's a different. I mean, obviously, defense is relative to the era in which you're playing, but I don't know. I think this is the finals that I'm the least interested in the last 10 years. And I don't know if I had to pick one or the other. I think purely based on experience, I think the Warriors have to be favored.
Yeah, I would imagine that, that's the way it's looking right now. But hey, I mean, did you expect Boston to get this far?
It didn't surprise me once the Nets went down and once the Bucks went down. It didn't surprise me.
Right.
When I saw them beat Milwaukee, I was like, this team's for real. This team's for real. Yeah.
And they were. I think I'm just leaning towards. I
want the Celtics. I'm rooting for the Celtics.
I'm rooting for the Celtics. I don't. You know what?
I don't ever want to see Draymond Green win another trophy as long as I'm alive.
Right.
But
I sort of like the revival of the Warriors because I liked that when they were winning because I had nothing else to root for. But I also have to harken back to the glory days of the NBA for guys our age and when the Celtics and the Lakers played each other every other year. And of course, it was always the Celtics for me, being an East Coast guy. So I don't know. I don't love either one of these teams.
No, I like Jason Tatum. I think there's a lot of really good role players on the Celtics. I just think that there's something inherent in what Steve Kerr has been able to make the Golden State Warriors buy into that is harder to defend. Number one, you have to work harder on the defensive side. And number two, there is no team in the NBA with as much offensive firepower or the potential for that offensive firepower on any given night in today's current NBA that is tailored towards the Golden State Warriors.
Yeah.
So, yes, Klay Thompson's not who Klay Thompson was even in 2017 or 18. They don't have Kevin Durant, but they've got some young role players, much like the Celtics do. And I just think when it comes down to it, I think that the composite of the Golden State Warriors is going to be able to outscore the Celtics. I think there's going to be way more pressure on one player. Whenever there's pressure on one player, unless you're Dirk Nowitzki, it doesn't seem to pan out as well.
Yeah, and you can talk about Golden State's experience and this sort of thing, and but I'll tell you this: Boston, they've kind of been through everything in this playoff
season.
Run. This, especially in the playoffs, I'm talking about. As far as that, right?
They've beaten better teams.
They've beaten better teams.
Absolutely.
They've had games that they were ahead by a lot and ended up losing or nearly losing. They've had a number of games where they were behind, where they came back, and they've struggled in series. They have gotten a lesson in sort of all of those scenarios during the playoffs. So I don't think that playoff experience is going to be as much of an advantage for the Warriors.
The only question is has it taken any sort of toll on Boston?
Well, I mean, if anything, I think it's look, you could say, I mean, who besides the Warriors? Maybe some people said the Suns.
Well, look, they beat the Nets, the Bucks, and the Heat.
Right. No, my point is the Warriors were one of two teams, let's say, in the West that were supposed to win it, right?
Yeah. I think most people thought it was between Phoenix and Golden State.
Mm-hmm.
Right. That's my point. So Golden State is doing what they're supposed to do. I don't think a lot of people, not that they thought Boston didn't have a chance, but
they weren't in the conversation.
The Heat,
they
Bucks,
were there. Right.
They were in the conversation. I think that they were the two favorites in the East, even though one of them stumbled into the playoffs. I think that it was still the Nets and the Bucks.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
I
Boston
think once
was,
and
was either a third
and
or
Boston's
maybe a
beat both of them.
Right. So I think, again, Golden State is where they're supposed to be. Boston is maybe a little bit, past where they were expected to be by, the pundits or whatever.
Right.
And it's finesse and almost professionalism coming out of the West. And to me, it's grit and hard-nosed.
Both these teams play really good team defense.
I think
the one hope that the Celtics have is that I think their backcourt could cause a little bit of problems for Curry and Thompson. I think that Marcus Smart. I think Marcus Smart and Brown can play long enough and stay in and on them where they're going to have to work for it. And I do think that Jason Tatum can exploit the Warriors on the offensive side. I think the Celtics have to pound it inside against this. Nobody has pounded the ball inside again. So guys like both Williams on the Celtics are going to have to contribute. They're going to have to contribute. And I think that the Celtics are going to have to take the ball to the hole. Now, it doesn't mean that the Warriors are a good defensive team. I feel like they have the benefit of champions where you don't see a lot of calls against the Warriors, especially if it's borderline and they also get a lot of foul calls. So they're going to spend a lot of time. My one concern is that the Celtics are going to play aggressive defense and Golden State is going to be gifted too many free throws, and they're going to spend the entire game at the free throw line. And what's the one team you do not want at the free throw line?
Right.
Warriors.
Right. And that's not at all an outlandish statement. That's
Right.
all within the realm of possibility. Could
Yeah,
happen exactly like that. So,
or even if it's not the entire game, you don't want to give them the last 8 minutes of the fourth
Right.
quarter where they're in the bonus,
Right.
and
Exactly.
everybody, no one even wants to jump in the air, right? All
Right.
they want to do is put their hands up and put them back, because you're going to get foul calls.
The way to beat Golden State is to pressure their shooters, force them to move the ball and pass the ball and get them out of their usual rhythm. Look, they have not had a tough run here because they have not played any team with the talent that they have, and they haven't necessarily blown everybody's doors off yet. So while I think they're favored, I think that if they let them play just a little bit of defense, just swallow your whistles a little bit, guys, I think this could be a good series. And I think it could be interesting, and I think you could see some good basketball. But if this is going to be, if the NBA is going to sort of force this into a 130 to 130, 142 horse game, then you can't beat Golden State. The Celtics have to be physical without succumbing to quite honestly, the ridiculous rules that the NBA has enacted. So, and they're good at that. They're not necessarily a team that's going to beat you up. They're a team that's going to hound the ball. And that's going to look, Marcus Smart's been hurt. Williams has been hurt. They're their two best defenders, both on and off the ball. Marcus Smart, even if he does not score a point, is going to be the X factor in this series. He just is. It's going to come down to his defense on Steph Curry. And they're going to, and I feel a little bit that it's not a given that if Klay Thompson, and look, he had a great closeout game the other day, but Klay Thompson has not been as consistent as Klay Thompson has been in the past. But he's been there before. And it's not just Steph and Klay anymore. They've got some young players who can also put the ball in the basket, both taking it to the hole and from that three-point line. And so this Golden State team is never out of a game. They're never out of a game because they can come down and shoot the three at free will. I think the Celtics will be the toughest challenge that they've faced in the playoffs by far.
right.
And like him or not, they've got Draymond.
Yeah, they do.
Well, look, Draymond's a great facilitator. He, people always talk about the intangibles. Yes, but Draymond's the one guy who you can get in his head a little bit too.
Yeah, you can.
He can get in their head, and you can get in his head. And he's a guy who, if he has the ball too many times, he will turn it over.
Yeah,
so
no, you want him. If he's going to flourish, you want him flourishing defensively.
You have to be physical with them down low and make him guard you in the post.
Yep.
Exactly. I got a question for you, both of you actually. Well, first of all, just see after the game, Game 7, Heat and Celtics. Bam Adebayo ripping his jersey off, walking in the locker room.
No, I didn't see that.
Didn't see that? Yeah, he was just walking in. The camera was following him. He just ripped his jersey right off.
Yeah.
Little, I guess a
Well,
little
those things are
aggravated.
cheap. I tell you what I saw that
it's hot night here.
He wanted to be the first in the shower.
This is true. Yeah, there you go.
I tell you wanted to get the good shower.
There you go. Right.
What I saw that I really liked along those lines is I saw Jimmy Butler and Jason Tatum taking more than just the usual perfunctory, hey, good game, go get them. They spoke for a couple seconds and had a and look, it's not.
They had a moment.
Yeah. Well, yeah. It's just look, we have some guys in the NFL. Everybody kneels down and they praise and of course you go over and talk to your opponent. But it was nice to see those guys talking for whatever it was, 30, 40 seconds, I think, and just under a lot of respect between those two players, and obviously I think between those two teams. And it was
Butler didn't sit for 1 minute at Game 7. He played the entire 48 minutes.
Do you know how many players off the bench played for each team?
Go ahead.
I would say 2 at the most.
3. And for Boston, Pritchard played 2 minutes. For Miami, Harrow, which is surprising to me, only played 7 minutes. Oladipo obviously has played 33 minutes. I'll tell you what. Browns, the big three for the Celtics outplayed the big three, if there is a big three,
Right.
for
The Heat.
For the Heat. And the Heat just don't really have that third scoring option. Oladipo's not who he was even 2 years ago. They didn't get Tyler Hero didn't step up. Kyle Lowry had a decent game, but he shot 4-12. Struss didn't necessarily have that great a game. It was all on Jimmy Butler. And look, PJ Tucker's, again, when you talk about intangibles, he's a starter, but he only played 17 minutes and he had 0 points. So
Butler played all 48 minutes. He had 35 points.
And with all of that, what did the game come down to?
Right, it came down to one shot.
Yeah.
Look, Jaylen Brown played 44 minutes, shot 8 of 15. Marcus Smart played 41 minutes, and Tatum played 46 minutes. Al Horford played 44 minutes. Now, look, Al Horford had 14 rebounds, okay? 3 assists and 2 blocks. He only had 5 points, but he was plus 10. Right. He had the biggest plus minus of any Celtic.
And that might be the best performance by a player 60 years or older than in the history of the league.
Yeah, let me ask you both this.
Williams and Horford have to. They got to take it inside. They have to play tough on the inside, and they have to work inside out against the Warriors.
Right. Sorry, we're hijacking Johnny's question.
No,
go ahead.
What is your both of you? What is your opinion on the 3-pointer that got overturned?
From what I saw, based on
I think the way his foot came down, he did not step out of bounds.
I don't think his foot hit the ground. Yeah. Now it was called a three. Yeah. It was overturned.
It was overturned. It was a 3-pointer.
If it was called out of bounds and they kept it that way,
that's one thing.
I would have been okay with it. Mm-hmm. Because I would have given the ref the benefit of the doubt that he saw something that we did not see on the video. Right. But there was nothing definitive on the video that showed that should have been overturned.
Absolutely.
That's my opinion.
100% agree. It should not have been overturned. That was, and I don't think he stepped. I don't think he stepped out. I mean, there's clear room between the heel of a sneaker and the.
Having said that, guys, don't put yourself in a situation where that's even a chance. Right. And I get it. Their feet are bigger than the space that.
He was thinking Kevin Durant last year. He wanted to be further away from the arc.
I'm going to make sure this is
a little
not
too far away from the arc.
I got to make sure I shoot it from the concession stand.
Well, listen.
If I feel a player's foot that's sitting on the bench, then I know I've gone too far.
Exactly.
Yeah, replay always has growing pains, right? And the NBA system seems pretty good, I guess, but. I don't know. It's
again. They
get that one shot, and
they may have seen something that we didn't.
Yeah,
that's a possibility. We're looking at the TV.
It's hard to imagine that, though. I mean, with with all the coverage and all the camera angles, and I don't know. But yeah, I agree. There wasn't enough to overturn it. I agree with you there.
Jimmy Butler though came up big. Look, Bam Adebayo came up big.
Yeah.
I think this is going to be a more interesting series. The one thing that the Celtics have that I think you could criticize the Heat for as well, they're not that deep. They're not that deep.
No. And
you're gonna be relying on a lot of guys to be chasing around these Warriors who are rested. And when you rest these guys, I don't care who you are. You can't elbow them in the ribs as they're running through a pick anymore.
And a lot of guys that played 40 plus minutes in Game 7 of but you know what?
They're young, with the exception of Horford.
Right.
This Celtics team is young, but look.
But you could also say with the way this series went, it maybe wasn't the most grueling.
Right.
Right, because either if you're the Celtics, you were up by a lot, or there were games where they were up by a lot and down by a lot. Not every game was a nail biter that came.
Right. No, you're right. You're right.
I also worry a little bit about Derek White and Smart and the fact that they're not the biggest guys in the world. I think they're both pretty good defenders. But I think that if there's any team that can shoot over smaller guards, it's Golden State. They're going to have to disrupt their ball movement, and they're going to have to force these guys to get off the 3-point line. It's the opposite of what basketball has been forever. You know, the old story was, hey, if they're going to make a 3-pointer with a hand in their face, then let them do that and keep them out of the paint. No easy baskets. Well, it's the opposite for Golden State. Their easy baskets are those open threes. They're going to have to get them off that 3-point line. Right. That could be the difference in the game. If you're forcing Steph Curry to step up and hit a 2, 5, 6 times, that would have been a 3. That could be the difference in the game.
Speaking of Horford, 141 playoff games, and he finally gets to a finals.
Yeah, well,
slow and steady wins the race.
The longest streak in NBA history.
I mean, he's not
playoff games
old.
without getting to. Well, it was the longest streak in NBA history of playoff games without getting to a finals. So, but that's done.
Yeah.
But anyway, no, he's not that old. What is he? 30?
35. He just turned 35.
There you go.
Oh wait, no, he will be 36 in a couple days. So
wow, he just turned 35 and he's going to be 36 in a couple days.
Well, the playoffs age you.
It's calendar these days, I swear.
Yeah, it's dog years.
Oh my God.
His birthday is on the 3rd.
That's how long the NBA playoffs
are. Right.
He turned 35 when they started.
He was 32 when they started. He'll be 37 if it goes to Game 7.
On Sunday, he's going to be 36.
Hey, stretch these things out. Terrible.
Al Horford, I mean, God, how many teams has he played for?
A lot.
Yeah.
6. Hold on. Checking it.
Well, I know he's played for the Hawks, the Sixers, obviously the Celtics. Did he play for somebody else in between there? So maybe it's only 3 teams.
Atlanta, Boston.
Atlanta, there you go. God, he was on Atlanta forever. That's right.
Atlanta, Boston, a year in Philly. Then 28 games for Oklahoma City, and then back to Boston.
Boston, there you go. Yeah, 5 minutes.
So this is his second stint with Boston. That's right.
So I guess
5 moves, 4 teams.
He left when Jimmy Butler left, didn't he?
He left Philly. He was there 2019, 2020.
Yeah. Well, you know, he's averaging close to a double-double this year still. So we shall see. Al Horford, good luck, buddy. You're going to need it.
Yeah. All of them.
All right. Ice those knees.
We
yeah. Oh, are we making predictions?
Let's make predictions. Let's do it.
I shouldn't have said that.
No, why not?
I don't know who I'm going to pick.
Look, I think Golden State's going to win, but I'm going to pick Boston just because I just want to. God, I can't stand Golden State.
All right.
I think it'll go 7.
I really want Boston to win. Golden State's winning in 6.
I'm going to take Boston.
Pete's going to take the Clippers. And
yeah, I'm going to take.
I want the Timberwolves.
I like Houston. 4. I like Houston in 4.
Houston in 4.
In 2034.
Yeah,
Olajuwon's son is old enough to play.
I'm going to take. I'm going to take the Celtics. I think Golden State's going to win. I think they're just too good. But
how many games?
I'm going to say. I'm going to say 6 because I don't think they can win it in 7. They'll be beat in 7. So
all right. So I've got Boston in 7. Pete's got Boston in 6. And Johnny's got the Warriors in 6.
Yep. I want Boston to win. I don't want the Warriors to win, but the Warriors are going to win. And it'll go 6 games. It's not going to go 7. It'll go 6.
Yeah, I agree with you, but I'm going to take.
Warriors have the first 2 games are in Golden State, right? In San Francisco. Golden State.
The first 2 games are in Golden State.
What is this Golden State thing?
Well, they're California's team.
Because
there's no other basketball teams in California.
None at all.
We've ever heard of.
We had the California Angels, which I like, but then they got rid of that. But why aren't they the California Warriors?
Yeah.
Gold. Are they the only team that does not have a city or an actual state as part of their prefix?
I believe so.
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah.
That annoys the shit out of
except
me.
for
too.
Oklahoma City, which has both.
There you go.
Well, that's a city.
Well,
That's
so
a
you're talking
city.
basketball team or any team, because New England,
I know, I'm making a joke.
Mm.
you know, I mean, New England is a region.
There you
not
go.
a state or
There you go. That's annoying as well.
Mhm.
Why can't you just be the Boston Patriots?
They were.
I know.
And the Warriors were the San Francisco Warriors.
Were they trying to capture the? It's like, I mean, at least.
Well, what is New England? Is it Massachusetts, Maine,
Massachusetts, Maine,
Vermont?
New Hampshire, Vermont, Connecticut, and Rhode Island. It's everything northeast of New
Jesus.
York.
It's everything that sucks.
Some
in
people
the
in
Northeast
some
that's
people
not
in
New York.
Well, some people in Connecticut would argue it's not Connecticut. Some people would argue that it's, and some Mainers would argue that it's not Maine.
Right. Well,
Oh, please, Maine is more New England than fucking Boston is.
But Massachusetts, Vermont, and
Connecticut can go fuck themselves.
No, I think Connecticut.
What is Connecticut?
Yeah, I mean, you're not going to get anybody in Connecticut to all the way up in all the way up in the Northeast, right at the Massachusetts border. Obviously,
Rhode Island is definitely New England.
Rhode Island is like the little brother that tags along.
Well, Rhode Island is about the
They
size
just
of
want
a
a piece of
county. I
something.
mean, you can drive across the state in 35 minutes.
Yeah, no, they just want a piece of something. Yeah, we'll be part of New England. How about us? Pick us. We want to, please. We want to be part of something.
It's arguably one of the top two most beautiful parts of the country.
It really
is.
It really is.
And it's also one of the most educated and affluent parts of the country. So I think that's what they have in common with Golden State. I think the whole Golden State idea was to sort of capture the burgeoning suburbs of San Francisco when San Francisco was maybe not at its peak, where they didn't want to be associated.
Yeah, but how is
when
northern
everybody was going out to the Haight was,
well, it was,
not going out there for.
Well, it was when San Jose was becoming a city and places like that were growing.
Sure.
Because when did they change over to Golden State from San Francisco? I mean, it was the 80s?
Yeah. So, and then before that, they were the Philly Warriors. So,
yeah.
But New England, the area of Connecticut, though, that doesn't say that they're part of New England, is definitely like the southwestern, by Greenwich, right by the New York border. I mean,
right?
They'd rather associate with New York than
right across the Sound from Long Island.
Yeah, pretty much. And then, of course, there's the one area that of Greenwich, Connecticut, that always makes everybody giggle. It's Mianus.
Yeah.
All right. According to you,
right over, just glassed right over.
Yeah, I'm not gonna even. Yeah, not even.
I think they pronounce it Mianus, but it's funnier to say Mianus.
Yeah, Mianisport. So New England is a region comprising the 6 states, including Connecticut, Maine, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, Rhode Island, and Vermont.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
And it is bordered by the state of New York to the west and by the Canadian province of New Brunswick to the northeast and Quebec to the north. The Atlantic Ocean is to the east and southeast, and the Long Island Sound is to the southwest.
This is true. Yeah, there's only one state that it touched that all of New England touches, and that's New York. That's it.
Yeah, it's just whatever. It's a bunch of trashy states.
Oh, just because you live in the armpit of New England. I mean, you live in the fart path of New England. You're right there.
Flight path.
And I'm on the North Shore where we have the rocky beaches too.
Right.
Not even the nice South Shore beaches to walk on.
I mean, yeah, parts of Long Island are closer to half these New England states than they are to New York. So
this is true.
That's 8 miles.
Yeah, I know.
8 miles across the Sound.
Yeah.
We could see it.
You could swim it.
You could see it on a nice clear day.
I could see it from my house. I could see Alaska from my house too.
I could see Russia from my front porch.
Anyway, all right.
All right. Well, that's our geography segment.
Yeah, we gotta
basketball / geography.
Here's
now
hockey.
It's on to the NHL /
Let's go Rangers, because if there's anything worse than rooting for a bunch of Russians, it's a bunch of Russians from Florida.
After game 1 of the NHL Eastern Conference Finals, the Rangers, after 2 periods, the Rangers are up 4-2.
They might be the team of density.
And both the Edmonton Oilers and the Colorado Avalanche have a more potent offense than the New York Giants.
Yeah. Did you hear what? I forget who is it. TNT is covering the game. Well, anyway, so they got their panel, and it's Gretzky and then a bunch of other guys, and
Gretzky and a bunch of other Hall of Famers.
I don't. Whatever. They're hockey guys. Well, you know,
Gretzky and some other guys.
It's the typical sports
format,
right?
Yes.
You got the pro school announcer who probably never touched a stick.
Gretzky was drooling, going, oh, God.
And Gretzky was going, I wish I was out there playing. It was last night. He's like, I wish I was out there playing.
It's his kind of game.
It was
there wasn't Billy Smith to whack him in the cheek.
Exactly. It was 7-5 at that point. And but then he goes, defense wins championships. You gotta tighten it up here and stop trying to win by 5. You get a 2-goal lead, hunker down, and
you also have to just stay out of the penalty box, because so much of the NHL now is once you get that advantage on the power play, the game changes. And,
especially for the Rangers.
Well, yeah, there's so many. I think this year is the highest percentage of goals are scored during the power play. It's just, look, the reason why Tampa Bay is here because they were gifted a 2-man advantage against Toronto, and now they've been blowing through the rest of the league. Look, the Rangers might be the team of destiny. And this is coming from somebody who I don't think I've ever rooted for the Rangers, but I am rooting for the Rangers. Of course, I predicted the Avalanche and the Rangers to be in the finals. So there you go.
You did.
Well, listen, this is, if nothing else, and interesting, it's, as you said, 4-2 after 2.
Well, the Rangers, the Rangers don't have them where they want them. I mean, the Rangers want to lose the first 2. Split
exactly.
the next 2. And
maybe that's Tampa Bay's strategy. Let's lose one of the first 2.
Well, Tampa Bay was the same way against Toronto. Sure.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. But this is the matchup of basically the 2 best net minders in the game right now. And they're both on top of their game big time and peaking at the right time.
Yeah.
Which surprises me that it's 4-2, but
yeah.
Well, not so much. I mean, I thought they were going to come out strong. Obviously, they have home field, so take advantage of that. And win the games. They just win everything in the Garden. They're going to the Cup. So
I think the Avs lost Kemper, so who knows? Look, this is a lot. Goaltending is a lot like pitching. Whoever stays healthy. And if you have to go through a playoff run with a backup goaltender, it's tough. It's tough. The Avalanche that was a good win. They held on, but
is he out for the rest of the playoffs now? We don't know.
I don't think they've announced. Last I checked, they haven't updated anything.
Right.
Well, sometimes,
they've turned to Pavel before, so for a while. So,
that's what I mean. Sometimes he comes in and he's got a shot, and he just, usually not for a whole series though.
No.
Well, he's 6. He's 6-2 this postseason and 10 starts with a 2.65 goals against average and almost a 90% save percentage. So you definitely want him in there.
Yeah.
It's part of the reason why. Edmonton was able to get back in the game.
Yeah.
But it's more than just it's the rhythm of the game, and what the goaltender is such an important piece of that.
Huge.
It's so big, and we've seen you get a hot goalie, and you can ride them. An inferior team can ride a hot goalie, whereas you can't do that the opposite way around. You can almost never make up for poor goaltending.
Right.
And we'll see. I mean, I hope the Avalanche could get past. I think the Avalanche should get past Edmonton. Edmonton's a good team. They beat a couple good teams on their way here.
They're scrappy.
And they're scrappy. Both these teams are really talented.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think the Avalanche still have to be the favorites. Even Tampa Bay's tough, and they've won the last 2 years, and obviously both Tampa Bay and the Rangers, they're never dead. You can't count them out, and the Avalanche have not had much adversity yet in this playoff, at least in the last round. So we'll see. But I think I think it's going to be a good finals, no matter who makes it. I think it should be the Avalanche in the West.
Mm-hmm.
I think the East is a little bit more of a toss-up, but I just think it's the Rangers' year.
Well, it works for me. Not so much for Pete.
I know Pete hates the Rangers, but okay. I mean, I'm not a Ranger lover either, but I've watched them lose 4 years in a row to the Islanders, so I feel a little sorry for them.
Right.
Never, ever will I feel sorry for the Rangers. They could not win again till the end of time.
Yeah. Well, look, they came out hot tonight. That's for sure.
This is true. It was 1-1 after the first period. The Rangers scored 3 goals in the second. So
it's 30-love in the fourth set.
It's 30-love in the fourth set, right?
Yeah.
All right. Well, if that's the case, I think we're good. Anything else to discuss?
No.
Save everything for next week's show, huh?
Save everything for next week.
All
yeah,
right.
I don't have any.
All right.
Nothing.
Well, we'll have all of our clips and all of our
next week's show. Pete will be broadcasting from a porta-john
in a change of pace. I have
somewhere in Syosset.
Yeah,
a porta-john in Syosset. Nowhere in particular, just in Syosset. All right.
One of the many. Listen, the people have not stopped fixing their houses up. Everywhere I go, construction sites.
Oh yeah.
Which is good because I can jump out and.
Well, then, the week after, then you're going to be reporting from a construction site in Mamaroneck.
I might. If it gets late enough, I'll just go in, fire up the generator.
There you go.
Turn on some of the lights there. Depending on what stage
you get some good lighting. There.
Yeah. I actually had a couple deliveries today to houses under construction.
Nice.
So,
all right. Well, on that note, we will wrap the show up for today. We want to thank everybody for watching, and for those of you just listening to the audio podcast, thanks for listening. Don't forget to visit our website, www.getonwithitpodcast.com. That's getonwithitpodcast.com. And please remember, like us and follow us on all of our social media, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Just search for the Get On With It podcast. And, of course, all of the shows are available on YouTube as well on the Logger Room channel. Remember, we go live with the video podcast on both Facebook and YouTube every Wednesday night around 7:30 Eastern Time. And if you want to just listen to the audio podcast, you can do so on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, TuneIn, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music Podcasts, and iHeartRadio as well. And if you haven't done so already, please subscribe to one or more of those feeds, and you'll never miss a show. Again, thanks for following along with us. Have a great rest of your week. Watch the Eastern Conference and Western Conference finals in NHL. Watch the NBA championship, watch the finals there, and watch a lot of baseball coming at you. And remember, we're only about a month and a half away from NFL training camp, so that's coming up as well. So
quarterbacks and centers.
There you go. We will
kickers and punters.
That's the following week. That's right.
We'll see you next week when we do. When we do our top 10 list, our top teams. I think we're doing Golden State next week, aren't we?
All-time starting five
and second team starting five for Golden State Warriors. So, all right, folks, have a good one. We'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
Cheers.
Bye, everybody.